I think the general consensus from what people have seen so far is that the goalkeeper's impressed everybody, and I think we expected him to, because we know how valuable he was to Sheffield United and how many points he helped them get when they stayed up a couple of seasons ago.
Big character.
But I think the way he's got the two in midfield playing, Mangala next to O'Brien, two players that we didn't know whether O'Brien could play in the Premier League, and we didn't know a great deal about Mangala in general. But the way they've been controlling central midfield, they did it for big periods against West Ham. Yeah. And they did it for the majority of the game against Everton. That's been impressive.
I just think that, look, the Mangala one, I think that's a bit of brilliance in terms of kind of like how he's come in and how he's understood and settled into the Premier League straight away. The O'Brien one is and the Tufflow one are the two that I think, could arguably be our two best signings when we look at this come the end of the season, because two players that have been desperate to play in the Premier League, two players that just fell short come the end of last season, having been beaten by Forest. But the Championship's a brutal league. And work and endeavour gets you a long way in the Championship. But O'Brien's got quality. He's got genuine quality. You can see that. And obviously Steve saw that initially. And I think those qualities in him, those fundamentals that he has, that he's probably developed over the last couple of years in the Championship, are going to go a long way in the Premier League, because he already has the quality to develop. And the partnerships are everything in this league. You can't build a team of individuals. You can't just bring in good individuals and expect it to work. It won't. So their two partnership is going to be huge. Obviously, Williams filling in for Jed Spence. The shoes he's got, I feel, seems to have started really well. There's a lot of really good elements that I'm seeing already to what Steve's doing.
You mentioned there in terms of the solidity, and you see a lot of teams get promoted, and that's what they do. They try and build a solid team, and at that point, they're kind of battling and they're scrapping for points. You've touched on that already. What they've tried to do here is sprinkle that little bit of stardust on the top as well. Jesse Lingard, Morgan Gibbs-White. Give us your impressions of those two, what your expectation levels would be.
Yeah.
Morgan Gibbs-White is the player that Steve seems to have wanted more than anybody else. How good do you think he can be?
If anybody saw the semi-finals of the playoffs with Sheffield United, I mean, he was killing me, Morgan Gibbs-White. Every time he got the ball, I was like, somebody just smash this kid, because he's absolutely destroying us.
And fingers crossed.
Yeah, and he's a genuine talent. He's a genuine talent, this boy. I mean, there's discussions about Anthony Gordon going to Chelsea for £60 million from Everton. And I don't see too much difference personally. When I look at Morgan Gibbs-White, okay, he's going to want to add goals to his game in the Premier League, but he's creative, he's good on the ball, he's skillful, he's hungry. Of all of them, he's the one that excites me most. But he's also at an age now where he's got to deliver. Because essentially, being at a good football club like Wolves have told him no. Wolves have pretty much said to him, go out on loan to Sheffield United, and we're going to sell you because we're getting a great fee for you. But they've told him no. Massive chance for him now to go out there and show people what he's actually capable of. But I want to see productivity. I want to see numbers. I want to see goals. I want to see assists. Because out of everything in terms of what Forest have brought to the table in terms of players, again, I go back to me and you watching Premier League football week in, week out, and not scoring goals is the quickest thing that will send you down in this league. Quickest thing. We've seen teams kind of like conceding goals, but they can do it at the other end and they just about survive. If you can't hit the back of the net, you've got no chance in this league.
They do look like a side, though, don't they, so far, who are going to create chances and therefore be in a position to score goals. Even Newcastle on the opening day. Yeah. You think about the chance that Jesse Lingard had when he hit the goalkeeper. You think about Sam Surridge's header that on another day goes in. One counted, one disallowed against West Ham. They could have had 3 or 4 at Everton last weekend. The signs in that regard are promising, aren't they?
Massively. They're a creative team. They can mix it up. They can, he can play kind of like, in a weird way, he can play in a very similar way to how Antonio Conte plays. That's why this game this weekend is going to be really interesting, because the amount of times you'll watch them and you think, oh, they're under pressure, and then bang, they break and they get their goal. It's how the goal against West Ham came, really.
Yeah.
They're under pressure, they break, little 1-2 on the edge of the box, bang, goal. And the team's very good at doing that, at soaking up pressure and scoring goals on the counter-attack. They are creative, but there's still a lot of pressure on Jesse, on Morgan Gibbs-White, to go and get those goals, on the boy from Germany to come and go on
Taiwo Awoniyi.
Awoniyi.
Yeah. The commentators are struggling with it so far, but it is definitely Awoniyi, not Awoniyi, as people are doing at the minute.
Awoniyi, yeah, that's what I've come to you for. But he's got to get his goals. There's a load, that's where the pressure is going to be. Jesse's an interesting one. I think that his start has been quiet, if I'm honest. But I do feel that there's more to come from him.
Yeah. You came through a fantastic academy system, and it's been a really successful academy for a period of time, set up by Paul Hart, carried on through Nick Marshall. Now it's in the very safe and impressive hands of Gary Brazil and his team. We talk about all the new ones coming in, but they've got 3 lads in the group who I think are going to be essential to what they do this season, because they know the culture of the club, they know they know what it's all about. Ryan Yates, Brennan Johnson, Joe Worrell, 3 people that, whether they're in the team or not, and I'm pretty sure that it'll be a team that changes over the course of the 9.5 months just because of the amount of new players there are and the league that they're in. But the influence of those 3 on the group, how important is that?
Well, they would have walked the same halls that I walked, and you constantly walk past those, those 2 European Cups every single day, the pictures on the wall, the people that are in and around the stadium, all the legends that played for the club. It don't take long to figure out what it means to play for Forest, when you kind of are at the club. And also, on top of that, the city. I grew up in Clifton. There was nowhere to go. When I think I played my first game, I think I caught the bus home. And, it was like going back into Clifton and all, meeting everyone who supported Forest, who came to the game that day. Each game just means that little bit more when you're from the city and you've come through the academy and you're part of the fabric now. I remember going back there and walking into the academy and seeing my picture on the wall and I'm feeling really proud about, the fact that, the club, decided that I was someone that these youngsters should look at as, as a figure, really, for them to show them that it's possible to kind of come through these gates. So it was those 3 boys I personally think have shown, not only in the start to the season, but I think, in the championship, that they're ready, they're ready and they're hungry. And I just think hopefully they've got the character to get everyone else on board for when those times are tough, and make them realise actually, what the club's about, and that everyone pulls in the right direction, in the same direction, because they're the principles of what I grew up in at Forest. And I think they were the same principles that Nick Marshall, Gary Brazil was there, and I was there as well, by the way. These guys, they instilled certain things into all of us, me, Reedy, Dorse, Prutz, that I'm sure they'd have continued.
I think they're lucky as well, aren't they? Because you guys never had the chance to really do it. The financial constraints at the time meant that your group essentially kept the club afloat. If you think back, when you were all there, you were sold to Newcastle. Reedy and Dawson went to Tottenham. David Prutton was sold. It was kind of a production line that, had they not been there, had you guys not been there, then the club might look a lot different than it looks today, and might well have had to go quite significantly backwards before it could come forwards again. Is there that little bit of thought in your mind, a little bit of envy in your mind, maybe? They're going to get the chance to do something that you would have given your right arm to do.
I would have given my right arm, basically, to have played in that game at Wembley and get my hometown club promoted into the Premier League. I mean, I was at the club 6 months, essentially. I started my season, my first full season. I know I made my debut the year before, but my first full season I started in the August. By January, I walk into training one day and it was like, right, Jermaine, we've had 3 bids for you. Off you go. And I would never, we had a good team. I remember being in that youth team and looking around me and going, right, Gaz Williams, me, Prutz, Reedy, Dorse, we're going to play in this team. We're the group of players that are going to get this team promoted. And then, obviously the politics and, as you said, the financial implications. didn't make it so. But you look at, Joe Worrell and Brennan Johnson and Yates and just think, good on you. Good on you, lads, and enjoy every single second of it, because not only do they look like good players, but they're going to get the opportunity to do it in their favourite shirt.
A quick look at the game at the weekend, because you have generally got a foot in both camps. Forest player for not very long, Tottenham player for longer, live in North London now, but grew up here. So it is a genuine 50-50 split. But it's so exciting when you think about Harry Kane, the England captain, coming to the ground, Heung-min Son, who won the Golden Boot last year. I mean, this is a difficult game for anybody. Tottenham have got genuine aspirations to win a top 4 side, and they'll see how far it can go. But I mean, it's a wonderful fixture for the Forest fans to see this weekend.
Yeah, and it's different. Obviously West Ham have come to town. This is the first big one, I think, that, for example, we've just spoken about those local lads. Joe Worrell's going to have the opportunity to go up against the England captain. The England captain.
Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing? I'm getting a few early nights if I'm Joe this week.
Well, why else did he want to come to the Premier League? You don't come to the Premier League for an easy day. Put it that way.
Well, he's not getting one, so that's all right.
He's definitely not getting one. Yeah, you can tell him now. He's not getting one, 100%. No. But it's going to be an experience for both, I think. I think, those Tottenham players are going to look around on Sunday and be a bit like, whoa, this is a lot more lively than I expected it to be. From a style of football, like I've said, they're not going to shirk responsibility on the ball, those Forest players, and they're going to make sure that they try and play the game the right way. But no, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it in a really weird way. People keep asking me, obviously, and I'm sure you are as well, kind of like, who do I want to win? The only way I've described it to people, which is not good right now, the only way I've described it to people was, if this was last game of the season and Forest needed to survive, or Spurs needed to win the league,
right?
I would want Forest to survive.
Would you really?
Yeah,
I like that.
Look, this game, this is a weird one for me. It really is. I don't know where I sit in terms of this moment right now. I don't personally think Forest losing this game is going to hurt them as much as Spurs not winning this game right now. So I'm going to sit on the fence for this one in particular. But I hope Forest fans know deep down that when it comes down to the nitty gritty, if it's about, business and staying in this league or Spurs winning it, then I'm all about Forest staying in the league.